With you. Today we are going to look at the second part of the message that Pastor Holcomb started last week. And if you remember, we've been talking about stories Jesus told. So this is one of those stories that Jesus told. Now, each of these stories is told in response to a certain situation that happens. Okay? So in the Gospels, we are not just giving the story, we are giving the situation because of which the story came about. So this particular story came about because religious leaders of that day came to Jesus with a complaint. And their complaint was actually, they were not talking to Jesus, but they were complaining to the disciples. And they said, why is it that your master hangs out with sinners? Well, and I wonder, what do you mean by that? Well, in those days, they had people grouped into groups, at least the religious leaders did, and there were those who were cool and clean, and you could hang out with them, and there were those who they called unclean and sinners, and you couldn't hang out with those. And as a religious leader, you were supposed to set a good example. Well, here is Jesus hanging out with people he wasn't supposed to hang out with. So the religious leaders were complaining and whining, and Jesus said, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story. And he told them 3 stories. The third story is what we are talking about. Luke chapter 15, the third story. A man had 2 sons. You've heard the story, right? The older one, the younger one. The younger one came to the dad, and, well, I'm going to have to update the story a little bit, okay? So the younger brother came to the dad and said, Dad, I hate to put it this way to you, but I have waited a long time to do some things I need to do. And you have my inheritance tied up because you haven't died yet. You haven't died yet. And it doesn't look like you're going to kick the bucket anytime soon. So I hate to be rude. Do you mind just giving me my part? I've got places to go, people to see, things to do. Just, if you don't mind. Nothing personal, of course, Dad. And in those days, of course, everybody was aghast in the story. In our day, how could you say that to your father? Of course. But the shock of all shocks, in the story, the father gives the younger son his share of the inheritance, which is 1/3. And he took it and took off. And it says, according to Jesus, he spent all that money on wild living. We didn't get into much detail about what wild living means, but use your imagination. Well, things became hard. He went very far away, of course, and had to move from home, so he was gone. And, friends left, and he lost his place he lived and lost his job, and, he was alone. So he went looking for a job, couldn't find a job, and finally, somebody who was a pig farmer. Obviously, he was not a Jew, right? Jews don't mess with pigs. So a pig farmer, so he must have gone way out. Pig farmer said, you can work for me. You could just slop the pigs from time to time. And so he was down there slopping pigs, and one day he just stood and looked at these pigs eat the slop. And he said to himself, I have really fallen quite low, haven't I? This is bad. Here am I, a Jew, standing here feeding pigs. Something is wrong with this. My father has servants who eat better. I'm going to go home. I'm starving to death. But he can't just go home, so we don't know whether he actually turned around from what he was doing, but he came up with a pretty good speech. I'm going to tell Dad, I'm sorry. I've sinned against heaven and against you. And would you take me back? Not as a son, no. Take me back as one of the servants. That's all I need. Just get under your roof, out of the elements, because it's hard out here. Then in the story, Jesus says that the father was minding his own business one day, and he just sort of looked out there, and it looked like his son. And the father did something that grown men in those days did not do. Grown men in those days did not bare their legs. He always wore long clothing. And they certainly did not run. This father pulls up his cloak and he takes off. Servants are watching. What is going on? Has he lost his mind? And he goes and he falls on his son's neck and he kisses him and he brings him back. And he begins to give orders. Kill the fatted calf. Bring the sandals, bring the ring, bring the special clothing. This son of mine was dead. He's alive again. He was lost. And he has been found. Let the party begin. And so the party started. Now, while the party was going on, there was a lot of noise. There was dust kicked up. You could see from afar what's going on down there. The older brother was coming back from, no doubt, the back 40. He had been out there seeing to responsibilities, doing the chores that needed to be done. Somebody had to do it. And from afar, he could see, what is going on? He could hear. So he called a servant over and, hey, what's going on? And that's where we want to pick up the story in the Bible. Luke chapter 15, beginning in verse 27. All right? And the servant replied, your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he has gotten him back safe and sound. Then he became angry and began to, wait a minute, he refused to go in, and his father came out and he began to plead with him. But he answered his father, listen, for all these years I have been working like a slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your commandment, yet you have never given me even a goat that I might celebrate with my friends. All these years. Now when this son of yours come back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you kill a fatted calf for him. Then the father said to him, son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice, because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So you heard about the younger son last week, and today we're talking about the older son and the father. I left some notes in your bulletin behind the anthem words, so you may turn to that and use that as we go. There's place for you to write other thoughts if you want. Okay, so first of all, let's take some time and identify with the elder brother. Shall we? Does anybody here identify with the elder brother? Oh, come on, put your hand up. Come on, somebody has to be responsible in the house. Somebody has to stay around. Somebody has to cater to responsibility around the house. Somebody has to do it. And believe me, it is a lot of work. It is heavy. It is unrelenting. It goes on and on and on. And sometimes it can get awfully lonesome. Awfully lonesome. You remember not long ago I was in Ghana to spend some time with my parents. You remember the story. And The day after I arrived, my mother had a stroke. 2 days later, I was with her. I have 5 siblings. Not one of us live in the same house with my parents. The closest one is a good 3 hours away. So there I was. There are other people in the house, but I am the only child. I am telling you, it was intense. It was intense. It was one trip to the hospital after the other. Have to go get scans. Oh, the therapist is coming to the house. Are we ready to receive the therapist? Take a camera, record what the therapist is doing with mom so that maybe other people can help when the therapist can't get there. And all along, from time to time, a sibling will get on the phone and call. I tell you, it was such encouraging to hear that somebody else cared, somebody else was interested. So I do not begrudge that older brother for being ticked off. After all, his younger brother has just been gone, just gone. Oh yeah, so he was ticked off. If you've ever been there before, I don't have to speak for long. I mean, there is work to be done, and to look around and find no help, and the relatives in your life are somewhere else. No phone call, not a card, nobody cares what is happening with mom and dad. Oh yeah, resentment does set in. Oh yeah. So that's where the older brother is. Okay, we've got to go there first. But you see, the problem is, the father doesn't only have one lost son. The father has 2 lost sons. 2 sons that are lost. The younger one and the older one. They are both lost. The younger one is lost in very obvious ways. Everybody knows that he's lost, right? Come on, that's obvious. He's lost everything. He's lost. The older one is also lost. What? What do you mean he's lost? He stayed home? Yes. He did all the chores? Yes. He was responsible? Yes. He is lost. Listen carefully. The older one is lost because he's playing at the same game the younger one is playing. And the name of the game is not to relate to dad for dad's own sake and for the sake of the relationship. That's not the name of the game. The name of the game is to find some way to get our hands on our inheritance so we can do what we want to do. That's the name of the game. But there are 2 ways to do it. The younger one is pretty direct about it. Just give me my share and I'll get out of your hair. That's pretty straightforward. The older one stays back, does the chores, does all these good things, but the thing he most wants is his inheritance. It is not the relationship itself. How do we know? Because he refuses to go inside and celebrate with the father. See, in that culture, to be a host of a party, of a celebration, was a position of honor. You stayed in that seat and welcomed people, and you were the host, and everybody has come. He stands out there, the older brother does, and forces the father to leave his seat, the party, to go out there and talk with him. That alone is a big insult. Just as big as the younger brother who said to dad, I wish you were dead. Right there. That was enough. Right there. So the father has 2 lost sons. But one is more lost than the other. The younger brother is lost. Everybody knows it. He knows it. The older brother is lost. But does he know it? Do you think he knows it? No. No. Why doesn't he know it? Because he's squarely focused on confessing the sins of his younger brother. This son of yours, who took your property and wasted it. See? And that's why the older brother is in a worse situation than the younger brother. If you're sick and you know it, you might go to the doctor and you might get healed. If you're sick and you don't know it, you're not going to go to the doctor and you what? You just might die tomorrow. Churches are full of elder brothers. Oh, I know, I'm one. We stick around, we take care of responsibilities, we get chores done. Heck, somebody has to balance the budget, somebody has to do VBS. We take on things and get it done. Why? It needs to be done. There are other people who are part of the church family running around doing their own thing, and they expect the church to just be here, just pop in here twice a year and expect it to all just be here. Sometimes churches are full of elder brothers. And we can become so focused on confessing other people's sins, we don't realize that our goodness has blinded us. Whew. And Jesus leaves us watching the father and the elder brother outside of the party hall, just watching. And the question is, will the elder brother come in? Will the elder brother join the party or not? That's the question. And Jesus ends the story right there. Leaves them out there talking. He doesn't tell us whether the elder brother comes in or not. Doesn't tell us. As if to invite us to stand in the shoes of the elder brother and write the conclusion for ourselves. Will he come in or will he not come in? Of course, the ultimate elder brother is Jesus himself, isn't he? The true elder brother. Because when this younger brother left home, somebody should have gone looking for him. Who else would have gone? The older brother should have gone. Didn't go. So Jesus is the true elder brother who has come to seek and save the lost. And most of us are elder brothers. Most of us are elder brothers. We stick around. We get things done. We're so proud of ourselves sometimes. And sometimes our goodness blinds us. Keeps us focused on somebody else's shortcomings. But the Father's love remains. The Father is willing to take one more insult. He's willing to leave the party and get out there and plead with us. Will he go in or will he not go in?